Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions, holy bearers of the light of God that have come for the salvation of the world. To see that salvation is already here in the divine light of being. When we focus on the light, it's so wonderful to be reminded when we look as the light of divine being, is salvation already happened. Can we find a place where salvation isn't in the light of infinite being? Yet somehow in the play of consciousness, sometimes we just don't feel saved. And it's so helpful to have the voice of God within to keep reminding us, salvation's already happening. Will you accept it today, this moment, this infinite light, that you're more than worthy? And so I thank Jesus and thank all of you for coming for lesson 235, to bring your holiness here with us, to bear holiness witness to the holiness that we all are. God in his mercy wills that I be saved. And I'm seeing like the lessons with Jesus have been to look at how much there's a desire not to be saved. To see that there's salvation already happened, but somewhere in there, you know, even looking at this one sentence right here, if there's like the slightest tension, we can look at it and say, Jesus, show me where I don't want to be saved. Like, don't want to supreme happiness. Like, where is that? Will you show me? And he's been showing how much exactly what he's through. That, as usual, how much happiness truly is confused with death, and salvation is so confused with death. Like how much I'll say I, you know, because it's appearing here, was confused about death and happiness, just as he says that happiness is death and death is happiness. How upside down that is. And how much not wanting to be saved. Nope. Even though salvation's already here in the insanity of the world, and reminding me that we have to see it, really look deeply. Yet how powerful it is to look at beliefs, the four beliefs, a desire for an experience. It's so comprehensive. And that we can look in the light of divine being and say, yeah, I desire for experience where I'm not saved, period. I'm wanting, being with that, the itch for it. Yet that omission I see is so, so powerful, because it just lets that energy arise. The recognition, yeah, there's energy, this energy of wanting to say no to salvation. And let it fully come into my awareness. Whereas before there would have been like this asteroid belt. We talked about diversion, you know, find a better asteroid out there. Instead of this really deep, okay, show me. I see God's will, right? You know, it's sort of, and seeing where there's no interest in it, trying to toss it out and having to be taught from scratch again what infinite supreme happiness is. And how valuable that voice is for God, how value becomes every day more and more valuable, to see past the desire for delusion. That even though we can see in the light of divine being, salvation's done, complete infinite light here, anywhere that there's a little tension, there's a denial of God in his mercy wills that I be saved. In the light of divine being and honesty of God is God's will that we be saved? Can we find him saying in there, nope, no salvation for you? So it's not God willing that we not feel saved. It's a desire below the level of awareness to deny supreme happiness. I need but look upon all things that seem to hurt me and with perfect certainty assure myself, God wills that I be saved from this. Jesus, can you bring anything to mind? Anything that seemed to have hurt? So we can just practice. And practice using this and the lesson. God wills I be saved from this. A place where there's the desired experience of unhappiness. I'm willing to see the power of these thoughts over any denial. And merely watch them disappear. It's like, right, yeah, he's given all these words. Yeah, you can start to watch the whinging and the complaining, and when it's so simple, God wills that I be saved from this, is as simple as it is, really. Is this God's will for me to have this twitch or whatever it is, this desire for a body or its experience? In the light of divine being, does God will us to have a body? Is he in there, the light going, gotta have a body? Gotta have body experiences? Can we find that in the light? That salvation is in a body? Is that in the light? Is perfect happiness in a body in the light divine being? Can we find that? How does the body give us happiness in the truth in the light of divine being? Yet somehow, Jesus, is there any belief that a body brings salvation below my level of awareness? I'm willing to see it. He says, any desire for an experience of illness is the desire to deny salvation here. Is there any desire for illness in a body remaining below my level of awareness, experience? I'm willing to see it. See any energy investment in that experience to make that manifest for myself. I need to keep in mind my God's will for me is only happiness. So he can actually teach me what that is. Because of the confusion, we can ask in the divine light, have we been confused between death and what real life is? And hear the answer. It's happy to find out we've been confused, because I was so convicted, like it was so much conviction. I know what happiness is. No, I don't. Whatsoever. And what peace is, it was so conceptual, like really concepts of peace. That's why we need this voice. I know I need this voice every day. Every day. Every hour of every day. To remind me what's timeless. To find only happiness has come to me. Keep in mind my Father's will for happiness, to find that only happiness has come to me. And I need but remember that God's love surrounds his Son and keeps his sinlessness forever perfect. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, Does God's love surround us? Does the light surround us? We have to learn even what love is, like not even know what love is, to drop every concept about love. Think of the words and language. Love hurts. Who's saying that? Those beliefs that love hurts, that will manifest. We have to really be observant of what comes out of our mouths to see where those little beliefs are hidden. And to see whose voice is voice of truth or the voice of the serpent speaking through this body. Because what we're saying, we're repeating to ourselves, we're convicting ourselves. We're using conviction through what we're saying to reinforce those beliefs and those experiences that deny divinity. To really be observant about what's coming out. Is that a belief? Especially when we talk about another being, that's a very fast way to say what the beliefs are. I believe you, that's a belief about ourselves. But remember that God's love surrounds His Son and keeps His sinlessness forever perfect, to be sure that I am saved and safe forever. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, is it possible to know right now that our sinlessness is forever perfect in the light of divine being? Is that possible to recognize right now and completely embrace as true? I am the Son, and that we feel safe forever is the only safety in light, in our direct experience, in truth, when we really look at what safety is and let the light tell us of what safety is. Is it only the light of divine being that's safe? A safety that's so wrapped in infinite love, in infinite joy, beyond safety. Can we see in the infinite light of the being that the desire, the hunger for objects, for safety, that doesn't work? Like having a house or a car or certain objects in the world ever given us a feeling of safety, or is it always feeling less or more, like something's wanting, like for that moment that it comes, it seems to quote unquote satisfy, but then the hopscotch of consciousness will hop on to the next thing to try to like glom onto so tightly to say, oh no, this is where my safety lies. To try to grab something, or then something else arises in consciousness. We can see this constant play of grabbing onto and then pushing away. Oh, there's that sound. I don't want to hear it. If I hear it again, I'm going to scream. So push away, or I don't like, or I don't want. All those plays within consciousness for death, have they ever brought us life? What the light brings, can they bring to us what infinite, unchanging light brings? So it's so helpful to look at the wanting for other than light, and know where true safety, lying in His arms, in infinite arms, infinite, peaceful arms, is the only place we want to be. I am the Son He loves. In the idea of ego identity, it seems inconceivable to be loved by God, because it's made to be inconceivable that God, we're so totally loved by God, yet in the light of divine being, are we the Son God loves? In honesty of God, can we hear that? Let that just seep in, just rest as that. How much time in the day would it be valuable to give just to that one experience of the light loving for no reason other than for what it is, who we are? Can love be divided from us? Can we find a way for love not to be us in the light of divine being? And that the light is saying, no, you're unlovable. Can we find that in the light? You're unlovable. So then we can recognize that voice below our level of awareness. It's telling us we're not lovable because we desire an experience. Jesus, is there any desire for an experience not to feel loved by God? Below my level of awareness, I'm willing to see it. Jesus is reminding me that whenever we don't feel loved by a brother, that's the belief that we don't feel loved by God. And whenever we don't feel like we love a brother, that's when we don't feel we love God. Thus, again, the gift that the brother brings to remind us how we deny oneness through a brother. And I am saved because God in his mercy wills it so. Jesus, tell me anything so I can practice this sentence. God wills that I be saved from this. God wills that we be saved from our delusions about who we are in the play of consciousness. I put the whole play of consciousness in there. Take here, you can have it. Has the play of consciousness and the asteroid belt truly ever brought us anything other than just experience, which isn't harmful? We're not going to be harmed by experience in the light of divine being. We can see that. But does anything in consciousness actually bring supreme happiness in our direct experience? And see that the play of consciousness is to obscure supreme happiness from our awareness. Supreme happiness is just acceptance of divinity, the natural state, and ceasing to deny it through the drug of choice, consciousness, the plays in consciousness of cause and effect. That something in consciousness can affect something else. And there's such a deep belief that this is happiness. Yet in the light of divine being, can we find a way for something actually to cause something else to happen? Causality. Can we find a way for any belief to be real in divine light? Can we look in there and see any thought, feeling, or emotion is true? David Hoffmeister calls it wish fulfillment. Is every wish being fulfilled, every subconscious desire below our level of awareness being immediately fulfilled in the expression of consciousness? And the answer. That's how powerful our thoughts are. But we can look again and go, is one thought that we have that expresses as consciousness more powerful than this sentence? God wills I be saved from this. It's really helpful to see by direct experience how powerful these thoughts of God are. Just like it's like having a big eraser pen come in. That's how powerful we are. And I am saved because God in his mercy wills it so. And so we can ask in the light of divine being and honesty of God, does God wills that we be saved, that this be our only experience. And have him teach us of our true experience, the true reality, what supreme happiness is. To be so open and so willing to be shown without a single idea of what it is, what supreme happiness and supreme peace is. To drop every idea about this world, every idea we've ever had is untrue in the light of divine being. Every idea we ever had about what happiness is, because we were so confused before with that whole link of happiness and death. What a combination that is. That happiness is death. Jesus, is there any desire below my level of awareness to experience happiness as death? I'm willing to see it directly and have that cleared and place that in the light. And have that retranslated. God wills that I be saved from this. God wills that I be saved from the idea that happiness is death. And death is happiness, and peace is death. I'm willing to put that sentence right next to God wills that I be saved from this. That's a little multi-purpose tool right there. Thank you, Jesus, for bringing me back to the Course to look again. I am the Son he loves, and I'm saved because God in his mercy wills it so. Father, your holiness is mine. Your love created me and made me sinless, forever part of you. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, are we sinless? Is everything sinless? Is it possible as divine beings to see a sinless world? To transcend all forms, all ideas of death, all ideas of hatred or other? Is it possible within this lifetime for the fulfillment of the Course in Miracles to be true for us? What does the light say? No waiting for another life. Do we need to wait for another life in the light of divine being to recognize and celebrate divinity? If it has value for us, it will seem to be so, but it's all one continuous dream. We can ask the light, is that just a continuation of the dream of separation, even if we have a whole nother life? It's hilarious. I remember thinking at one time, well, I don't have to be good or do anything because in my next life, that person can deal with it. I won't remember anyway. That's the whole gig. Consciousness plays in so many hilarious ways. See that the light has no challenge with any play. Benevolence doesn't have a challenge with the play. But we're strong enough now in our sadhana, in our devotion to truth and the recognition of light within, to really have Jesus be so direct with it. For me, to have him be so direct, even to the point of knock it off, stop it. You're powerful enough to look at every single one of these beliefs. You're powerful enough to see that there is no difficulty in order of miracles, that there aren't any beliefs that are harder to dispel than any other belief. There aren't any placebos in this world. We're powerful enough to see it. There's no cause and effect. We're powerful enough to see it. Because our supreme happiness depends on us seeing all of that. He's taken us out of this world completely. Not like a part-time job. It's celestial function, heaven function. I've heard beings who wake up or have a non-dual experience, because we're always having, like Jesus said, when I ask them what's a mystical experience, you're always having a mystical experience unless you deny that you are, because we're mystical beings. We're one with God in the light of divine being. Are we mystical? There isn't anything other than mystical. But we're so used to looking for it. It's going to be like an experience in the future that I'm going to be a mystical, or I'm going to float off into heaven, or we're mystical now. Jesus is going now to mystical. Why wait? So this direct looking and letting the energies arise and just the admissions, and he will deliver them. That's the experience here. You're sitting in the shower. You're right, Jesus. Oh my gosh, I really, really, really believe that happiness is death. Really, and I want that experience with every bit of fiber in the being. Yet there's so much power. It releases so much energy that's trapped in death. That directness, that show me, so uncompromisingly show me that I am a divine being capable of transcending this world. And I started to say there's so many beings that wake, but yes, you have to reintegrate. Let's ask, do you have to reintegrate in your humanity? Let's ask Jesus about that. In the light of divine being, is there any reintegration into does light reintegrate back into anything? Yes, it may express. We express as divine beings. There's no problem with just pure divine expression, because that's our function. That's our function in this world. It's celestial expression, divinity as it is. But the two can't go together. It's like trying to hang on to consciousness. I still want to play in consciousness. That's still subconscious fear, Jesus says. Just want to be clear on that. Yes, it's still fear playing. I've got to be humanity. No, you don't. You express as divine being. There's no limitations. Humanity, that idea, that concept, has so many limitations in it. What humanity is and how humanity acts and how we're supposed to be in this world. Then peace will be a transient experience. Beings talking again, you have to come to terms with, it's just the good and the bad, and that's all part of it. Those are still beliefs below the level of awareness. That's not what Jesus is teaching in A Course in Miracles. He's teaching complete choiceless awareness. Complete. He didn't express us on to hang on that cross to tell us to stay in this world. And we can express as divine beings in this world, but we're in this world and not of this world. In the light of divine being, can we see that we're in this world but not of it? And really just infinite happiness grows exponentially with that recognition that this world holds no power over the Son of God. And if we stay in the play, we will feel like it does. Father, your holiness is mine. Your love created me and made my sinlessness forever part of you. I have no guilt nor sin in me, for there is none in you. And that's the acceptance of sinlessness. The purity we recognize in the light of the divine being, the purity to express as divine being, not holding on to any ways of the world, because when we hold on, then we've just limited ourselves as expression of the Christ light. Christ light is without limits, and our direct experience is the Christ light, infinite being without a limitation. Infinite being. Thank you for your directness, Jesus. Amen. Love from San Juan Cozala. No. Amen.